Hi, welcome back to the show. Today, we will be creating a fantastic little burning that features some happy bats, a friendly tree, and an excited child. There's no pressure, so just relax and watch it happen. The trace lines. Let's start by ever so lightly burning over the trace lines. Use a writer pen tip for this and keep your strokes light and easy. Don't forget about the tree's little friend, Mr. Spider. With the spider, we want embossed lines, or lines that are embedded into the surface of the wood. So turn the heat down on your burner. We don't want any color on the burn marks. Once we're done, rub over the area with an eraser to remove any residual graphite. The happy little bats. With our happy little bat, we're going to use a shader pen tip and burn it to a uniform dark brown or black color. Use the burn stroke of your preference. Remember, it's your world. Do what you want with it. Rotate the board as needed so your pen tip stays in optimal position. We want our friendly bat to have crisp, clean edges on him. I am using uniform strokes to burn in the bat. Don't forget about the bat's friend. Everybody needs a friend. Right now, we're just going to burn along what is currently the upper edge of the bats. Then rotate the board back and finish burning along the outer edges of the bats. Then fill the bats with a uniform dark brown to black color. I switched to a slightly larger pen tip just to get the job done a little faster. Use a writer pen tip to burn in the small areas on our friendly little bats. This will make burning easier. Making things easier to do is a happy feeling. We need some dark to make our moon look white. Use the shader of your choice and burn the sky around the moon. This is your world, so you have an important decision to make. You need to decide how dark to burn your sky. I do recommend keeping the color many shades lighter than the bats. After all, we don't want to take away their glory. The smiling pumpkin face. Now let's have some fun and bring the head to life. Begin by burning a line along the right edge of each segment on the left half of the pumpkin. Then rotate the board and repeat the process on the remainder of the pumpkin. Now let's create some wonderful shadows on the stem. Use a writer pen tip and burn a dark line along the shadowed edge of the stem. Now burn a dark line along the opening of the mouth. Also, fill in the opening to a dark brown or black color. I am using a micro writer pen tip, but any writer pen tip will work, like the standard writer pen tip that I just switched to. Remember, this is your world. Maybe in your world, the mouth isn't a solid black color. Instead, maybe we see a tongue or a bit of a glow in your world. Let your creativity through and have fun. Use the shader of your choice and burn in each section of the pumpkin individually. As you work, keep in mind where the light is coming from. The moon in our world is above and to the right of the tree. The yellow circle is representing this. This means that the light is coming from the right. A yellow arrow is pointing the light's path. The brightest spot on the head will be the right side of the pumpkin. To make each section look rounded, burn the section darker at the seam. A green arrow is pointing to a seam. Let the color get gradually lighter as you approach the opposite side of the section. Also, the top of each section should be lighter in color than the bottom. I am using uniform strokes as my main burn method, but I also use some circular motion. Now remember, use the burn stroke that works for you and makes you happy. Rotate the board as needed while you work. We are all unique and beautiful in our own way. You may discover that some angles are much easier to burn at than others. I am burning on plywood. It is almost always easier to burn with the grain line than against it. This board has a horizontal grain line, so rotating it often makes it easier for me to burn on. Don't be afraid to experiment around with different pen tips. Any shader will work for what we are doing, but smaller ones are handier for the small pumpkin segments. They are easier to keep within the boundaries of those small segments. Larger ones are great for bigger areas, as it can fill in the area much faster. Use a writer pen tip and burn a dark line along the edges of the eyes. Then lightly burn over the pupils. Switch to a shader and fill the eyes to a dark brown or black color. Rotate the board as needed so your pen tip stays in optimal position when burning along the edges. We want those edges to stay nice and crisp. Allow the color to get gradually lighter as you near the pupils. Next, burn the nostril openings to a dark color, but let the color fade at the bottom of the openings. Now let's work on the brow. This is the area above the eyes. Darken up the left side of all three segments that comprise the brow area. Also, create a darker band of color above each eye. This will give the impression of eyebrows. Another place we need to darken up is the area between the eyes. Darken up under the eye until you're even with the pupil. This will make the area look recessed, and that will help our nose look elevated. If needed, darken up the brow area a little bit more. As you can see, it takes a fair amount of reburning to build up the color on the pumpkin. Burn in the rest of the face, but leave the top of the nose several shades lighter than the cheeks. The lower portion of the nose, which is the nostril area, should be a couple of shades darker than the top of the nose. This will make the nose look elevated or raised up from the surface. Remember, in our world, the moon is on the right, so the left side of the face should be darker than the right side. Finish burning the right side of the pumpkin. I rotated the board as this allows me to burn with the wood grain, and I find that is easier to do. I am using both uniform and pull-away strokes as my burn methods. Rotate the board as needed while you work. The last thing we need to do is burn in the stem. Use a writer pen tip and burn a chain of tiny circles. Lots and lots of tiny circles. In addition to the circles, you can also burn some short lines. Make sure to keep the shadowed left edge darker than the right. When you get to the branching stem base, the top of each branching stem should be lighter in color than the bottom. The tree body. Use a writer pen tip and burn a dark line along the edges of one of the opening in the belly. Then fill the opening with a dark brown to black color. With the opening that houses the tree's friend, Mr. Spider, Burn darkly along the edges with a writer pen tip. Then switch to a shader pen tip and burn over the remainder of the opening using the flat of the shader. If the embossed or embedded lines are deep enough, we should start to see Mr. Spider's form emerging from the darkness. I did not emboss my lines very well, so I'm being careful to try and burn around Mr. Spider's body. If needed, use the point of a sharp knife or similar object to scrape away the burn marks from Mr. Spider's body. Rotate the board and use a shader to burn along the bottom edge of each branch on the tree's arm. Since the image is upside down, it appears as the upper and right edges on the screen. Also, burn along the bottom edge of the tree's roots. Rotate the board back and burn a dark line underneath the tree's pumpkin head. While we're at it, let's add a cast shadow from the chin onto the neck. Use a writer pen tip and fill the body with color using the circular motion burn stroke. This is the same technique that we used on the stem. As you work, be aware of the light source in your world. The moon is above and to the right, so the left and lower edges of the tree should be darker than the right and upper edges. You are in control of how dark to burn the body in shadows. I decided to reburn over the arm and chest to darken them up. When reburning, use the same circular motion burn stroke. The random texture that the burn stroke is creating will represent the bark on the tree. Make the branches that cover the belly opening lighter in color than the neck. This will help them stand out and appear closer to the viewer. Remember, dark values recede or get pushed into the background. Light values get elevated or raised up towards the foreground. Once the body is done, then burn in the right arm. We are still using circular motion as our burn stroke, so burn lots and lots of tiny little circles. Also, make sure to reburn or widen the shadows along the left and bottom edges of the arm. Well, let's get a little crazy and burn the fingernails to a dark color. Obviously, our smiling happy tree is wanting to participate in the Halloween festivities, so he painted his fingernails black. We don't make mistakes. We just make happy accidents. Now we just have the tree roots to burn in. We are going to keep things simple and use the same circular motion burn stroke that we have on the rest of the body. Just like before, we will use a writer pen tip to do this. Use the shader of your choice and burn a cast shadow from the tree onto the ground. I am using uniform strokes and circular motion as my burn methods. By burning the cast shadow a short distance from the root, it creates the illusion that the root is arching up and away from the ground. As you finish up the cast shadow, you must decide if you want a shadow for the left arm. I decided to leave it out, but it's up to you if you want to include it in your world. The absolute last thing I did was use a white-colored pencil and draw over Mr. Spider to help him stand out. The excited little child. Use a writer pen tip to burn the spots on the tunic to a dark brown or black color. Then switch to a shader pen tip and burn the tunic to a dark tan or light brown color. It does not need to be uniform in color. I am using uniform strokes as my burn method, but that does not mean that you have to. Instead, use what works best for you. I lost a video file, but we will get through this just fine. Let's just keep things simple. Burn the skin to a uniform color of your choice. With the hair, burn wide or thick lines that radiate outward from the center of the back of the head. Don't forget to make all these little things individual. All of them are special in their own way. Lastly, use a writer pen tip and burn the lines for the cast shadow. Then switch to a shader and burn in the shadow. Be aware that the shadow should be angled in the same direction that the tree's cast shadow is, something that I didn't do. The tasty candy. Burn the inside of the candy bucket. The right edge should be darker than the left. The color should get gradually lighter. Then burn in the handle. It might be easier to use a writer pen tip for this. Afterwards, burn over the outside of the bucket. The color should be several shades lighter than the inside. Also, the top should be lighter than the bottom. Now use a writer pen tip and burn in some vague wrapped candy shapes, like lollipops and mini candy bars here and there. Then fill in the area around those shapes with circular motion. This candy bucket is small and is not a focal point, so don't put too much detail into it. Add some dark shadows along the lower or bottom edge of the candy pile. Lastly, use the edge of a shader and burn some dark, short lines here and there in the candy pile. I think we have a finished burning. With that, I am going to wish you a happy Halloween. I'll see you next show. Bye.